Everyone, come on in. I am doing a special edition video today on Ready to Love the reunion, but I'm specifically doing it on LJ and LJ only because LJ intrigued me on the reunion with the sister wives. And I knew that LJ had done an interview with a Little Black Book a couple of, I don't know, a week ago or something or another. And I didn't get a chance to watch it. But after I saw LJ on this reunion, laughing and giggling over this sister wife stuff, I said, who the heck is LJ? And you know, I like to watch these interviews with Little Black Book and Crystal XO because it gives me a little bit more information. And I want to make sure I'm not jumping to any conclusions off of what they talk about. They always talk about they get bad at it, it's bad at it. So, you know, the good thing about these interviews is they get to talk for over an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, and nothing is edited. So if they put their foot in their mouth, then it's all on them. It has nothing to do with the producers of the show. And I want to tell you that, as you guys know, with LJ, in the beginning of the season, LJ was one of my favorites. I thought LJ was nice. I thought he was flying under the radar at the time. I thought women were overlooking him because remember, he was popping up on the radar of almost getting eliminated. And I was really in LJ's boat. I was in LJ's boat. And then LJ pulled that stunt at the dinner meeting the exes and brought that ex-girlfriend, but LJ didn't just bring a regular ex-girlfriend from a year ago or 2 years ago or 6 months ago. He brought back a girlfriend from last month. And not only did he bring back a girlfriend for last month, he was still sleeping with her, friends with benefits. And then the girl was still in love with him, but he still felt it was no problem bringing a girl on a show that was clearly still in love with him and that he was still sleeping with just a month ago. And let me tell you, that raised not one eyebrow, that raised 2 eyebrows. And I was like, I'm out. That was enough for me. And I didn't quite know what it was about LJ that made me want to get out besides that. But I started having a feeling like, danger, 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 danger. And so then next thing you know, you watch this reunion and you have these women sitting on the couch, the Trinika, the Sharice, the Loonies, the Shakira, all talking about how, Kiki, we sister wives. I get a day, she gets a day, they get a day. And I think the 3 that admitted they got a day was Trinika said she had a day, Sharice said that she got a day. And I think, was it Looney or Shakira? I think Looney said that she had a day. And I think Shakira didn't admit that she had a day. So maybe Shakira said, it's a little bit too crowded for me. I can't get enough attention with all these women because we know Shakira likes attention. So we know Shakira's probably not going to go for that for different reasons, but good for her. And I think she said she was out. So then again, I was like, what the heck is going on with LJ? Because you do see this like he's a nice guy, but then you see him making decisions like this that just don't add up. Now that I've watched the interview with Little Black Book, let me tell you what I think about LJ. LJ is for the streets. LJ, and he can call it whatever he wants because he wouldn't admit it on this interview that he was for the streets. But the behavior that he describes is for the streets. Like I tell you guys, I don't get into definitions with people. Sometimes people have, just like, you know, we got into with Dominica, what's ghetto, what's not ghetto. Dominica doesn't think ghetto is drinking a lot and being loud. That's fine if that's not your definition. But I was saying that getting drunk and talking loud at the first encounter of meeting people isn't a good look. So we can call it whatever you want. You can call it ghetto, not ghetto. Let's just talk about the behavior. So when it comes to LJ, the way he moves and shakes out here, to me, is for the streets. Now, LJ, I'm going to tell you this because LJ was often up against Justin or Justice. We still don't even know what's Justin's real name. Justice Jawan. What's his real name? Somebody needs to tell us what his real name is. Is his real name Jawan or is it Justice? But anyway, oftentimes Justice Jawan was going up against LJ. He was up against LJ with Trinica. He was up against LJ with Looney. And we all didn't like Justice Jawan. We thought he was mean, curt, just a lot of little different things. We didn't like him. I definitely didn't like him. But I'm going to tell you this. I would much rather, I know it's going to be a shock to everybody. I wouldn't date neither one of them. So let's get that clear. But in terms of dealing with them, I'd much rather deal with Justice than LJ now. I know it's a shocker. But let me tell you, I like things put to me right in front. I don't like a wolves in sheep clothing. I'd rather a person right here put a bullet in my head. I don't like you to lead me astray and try to make me think one thing and then you're another person. Here's the thing about LJ. LJ really is a nice person. I don't think he's faking that. I think LJ really is a nice person. But being in that nice person that LJ is, the problem is you never know where you stand with him because he's nice to everyone. So my question to LJ would be, if I were a woman trying to be interested in LJ, is how would I know I'm special? How do you know you're special? Because what LJ has told us consistently is that he can sleep with you, he could date you, he could charm you, he could talk sweet to you, he could take you out to dinner, he could do all these nice things that every woman would want. But then he could come right around and tell you, but you know more special than Betty Ann. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And I would rather a person like a Justice to tell me, you ain't special. I'm not interested in you. Because then I would know that if he is interested in me, he's going to have different behavior. With LJ, he's got the same behavior for everyone. Now, LJ, I would much rather be friends with because he's pleasant to be around. He's fun-loving. He's fun. He's nice. He's sweet. Justice, on the other hand, he's mean. He don't seem like he really has a pleasant personality. And I probably wouldn't even want to hang out with Justin, even to have a drink at happy hour. But in terms of the straight shooter, letting you know where you stand, letting you know really how he feels about you, I much prefer Justice Jawan's approach than LJ's. And here is why you have this situation with LJ with all these sister wives, because he really is nice to all these women. He likes being nice to women. And LJ consistently uses a little island term. I'm a vibe. He could put whatever saying he wants on it. I'm a vibe. Okay, I'm with you. Caribbean man for St. Thomas. Back in the day, I dated a man from St. Thomas. They are smooth. They do have that laid back personality. And so I get it. I get everything that LJ is bringing. But let me tell you, a danger for any woman who runs into LJ or women like LJ or men like LJ rather. And one of the things you better get straight right from the beginning, if you date an LJ, is, oh, how would I know I'm special? Because you're nice to everyone. So what I want to know is, what would be my indication that I'm special in your eyes? You better ask that question right up front, because what you could do is you could keep thinking you're special because he really is doing a lot of nice things to you. He's nice to you. He's calling you. He's taking you out. He's filling you with compliments. He's saying all the things that make you think you're special. And then next thing you know, you are no different than Betty Lou, Mary Ann, and everyone else. That's a problem. But in this interview, LJ started singing his song again. You know, he's a charmer. So he whips out his little R&B music. He said that's his favorite genre of music. He likes lots of different music, reggae, calypso, R&B. But he says R&B is his favorite. Probably is, because he probably likes the love lyrics that go along with R&B. And let me tell you, LJ is a smooth operator. So I can see him liking R&B, and he sings to women and talks to women like he's an R&B song. That's LJ wants you to put him on when you in the bedroom with someone else because that's what he likes to do. He likes to smooth and charm women, which is nice. But like I say, are you just a listener for LJ, or are you really all that special? LJ doesn't make you feel special. He may make you feel good, okay, but you don't get set apart in LJ's eyes. You really don't. But he told us that he was born in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but he was raised in Tortola. Then he came to Miami to go to college, and he joined the fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. So I guess Tommy's starting to let some other fraternities come on the show. It seemed like for a while, all he was letting come on the show were Kappas. So I guess he didn't open up the gate and let some other fraternities come on the show. And LJ definitely got the confidence of an alpha man or a fraternity man. He has a lot of confidence, which nothing is wrong with that. And he has reminded us plenty of times that he has had no shortage of getting women. I know that's right. LJ has had no shortage of getting women at all. And as he says, probably for his whole life. So basically what he's saying is, women, are you a dime a dozen? You are a dime a dozen. But he said he loves music. He likes Afro beats. Like I said, everything. His daddy got him into music. I guess his daddy is musical. When he was really into Bob Marley and Peter Tosh. I know all that stuff because that's right. If you ever do date a man from the island, you're going to learn about Bob Marley and Peter Tosh. And you're going to eat some callaloo. But one thing I like about LJ is, one, I think he does have confidence. I do think he does have like sort of a good moral compass. I think he is hardworking. I get all those vibes from him that he talks about himself. He talks about how his parents are still married and that he got a lot of his work ethic from his pops. And he also got a lot of his relationship, how he wants to be in a relationship, from his parents. He talked about what it takes to be in a good relationship, communication and different things. But one of the things he talked about was that he isn't looking for a woman like his mama. He said his mama is reserved and calm. His dad is more outgoing. He said he's more like the spitting image of his dad in personality. And he said he wants a woman that's outgoing. He don't want no reserved woman. That's why you see that he was attracted to the Loonies and he was attracted to the Trinikas, because he actually likes that outgoingness and that fun part of women. And I think that that's probably one of the reasons why he didn't necessarily stick with Shakira, because although physically he said he was most attracted to Shakira when he first saw Shakira, he was really attracted to her physically. I think her personality is what eventually turned him off. And I think he was more drawn to the outgoing personality of like Looney and Trinika, because at first we thought Trinika was more calm and reserved, but then we started figuring out that Trinika is maybe just as wild as Looney is. So it kind of explained how he shifted from Shakira over to Looney and Trinika. I still don't know. I used to think that Looney was too much for LJ. That's what I used to think, that LJ couldn't handle a Looney. But I'm going to say right here that I was probably wrong about that, and that he probably could handle a Looney. And Looney might get in a little bit of trouble with LJ because LJ is smooth. LJ thinks you have him wrapped around your finger, when the truth of the matter is he's wrapped around a lot of women's fingers. But LJ says he can't settle down. Even this woman he brought on this date, that, he said he was a little shocked by the fact that she said, she was still in love with him. I don't know why. I think he likes to say he was shocked because then he doesn't have to do anything differently. But LJ is one of those guys that go around and say, well, I'm not doing anything wrong because I tell her the truth. So what he says is, I'm honest with her and I tell her that, he doesn't want to be in any monogamous relationship with her. But then, he's still sleeping with her. He tried to pretend like, what's going on with you and this woman still? Friends with benefits. That's what they're still doing even to this day. Friends with benefits. He is willing to be friends with benefits with this woman, even though he knows this woman is into him way more than he's into her. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with, just because you told someone the truth, you're still behaving in a way that makes them possibly think in a different direction. I don't like that. I don't like when people do that. I really don't. The two things have to always align. What a person says and what a person does always has to be in agreement for me to believe that it's the truth. You can't tell me one thing and then do another. and you can't do one thing, but then tell me another. A lot of times what we do is we maybe listen to words, but don't watch people's actions. Or sometimes we watch actions and we don't listen to their words. And in the case of LJ, what he does is he does the action, and in the words, he makes sure that you're not contradicted. You see, LJ has figured out here that there are a lot of women who don't want bad boys, right? Some people want bad boys, and he realizes he's not a bad boy. And what he is he's the other type of person where he's smooth, he's nice to you and all that, but he gonna get just as much, you know what I'm talking about, for women as the bad boy. He just got a different approach to it. A different approach. But in the end, it's the same sort of thing. They're not really going to commit to you because they're really still out here dating a bunch of women, vetting a lot of different women, and still a man with their hand in a candy jar and can't figure out which of the women that he really wants to choose because there's no need to settle down. And one of the things that LJ said, if you guys remember that date he was on with Looney and Trinika, and remember that question came up about when would you expect sex? And Looney, I think, was the one that said she had like a 90-day rule or something. And LJ said he ain't waiting 90 days. He said that's too doggone long to wait. And he's not waiting 90 days. Not going to happen. I believe him. I absolutely believe him. And LJ's are like a lot of men. I don't want to wait 90 days, 30 days at the most. You know what, women, if you're dating a man like an LJ or a man who says you got a 90-day rule, and I'm not going to even tell women whether they should have a 90-day rule or not, whatever you want to do. But if you are a woman that has a 90-day rule, a 30-day rule, a 60-day rule, and the guy's rule is significantly less, 1 week, a 2 week, guess what you do? You say, well, whoever was servicing you before I met you, whoever she was, since you like to have sex within 2 weeks, you keep on with that woman. Don't depend on me for it. Okay, don't depend on me. Now, you ain't got to require them to take you out of fancy dinners and spend a bunch of money on you. Get to know them over the phone. Get to know them on dates going to the beach down there in Miami. That's free. Get to know them going to the park. And then that way you don't have any pressure to sleep with the LJs of the world, where he's just running around trying on a bunch of different women. You don't want to be a pair of shoes that LJ wants to try on and wants to wear this pair of shoe this day and this pair of shoe the next day and then the next day, and then put you in the category of friends with benefits, because that's what he's doing. And all these other women, the Trinikas, the Sharices, the Loonies, or whoever is part of their sister wives, that's a bad deal. None of you women should be putting up with that, and not at all. Y'all need to leave LJ alone. Even LJ with this ex that he brought on, a Little Black Book really got into it and asked him, well, how did it even come to be that you guys were in a relationship? And what LJ said was in the beginning, they were just friends. He had friend zoned her. They were just hanging out and kicking it. And then next thing you know, after maybe about 4 months, they fell into it. So he didn't even deliberately pursue her or anything. She just kept hanging around till she became like the gum on the bottom of his shoe. That's what he's really describing. He didn't actively choose her. She just kept hanging around, and eventually she was stuck to the bottom of his shoe. And then maybe after about another 4 or 5 months, he got that gum unstuck from the bottom of his shoe. And this is how LJ operates. He doesn't deliberately choose women. He said he doesn't like women who pressure him into relationships. He wants things to happen organically. Like I said, he wants to be walking down the street and accidentally step on some gum and it gets stuck to the bottom of his shoe. Nah, I'm going to need a man to actively pursue me. I'm going to need a man to choose me. I'm going to need a man to deliberately want me, because if he doesn't do that, then he does what LJ does. He just sticks with any woman that's on the bottom of his shoe and who keeps hanging around. And that's what these women are doing now. They're hanging out around with LJ, and he's happy to keep servicing them, going out with them, and being nice and being a nice guy. That ain't special. That ain't special at all. Every time he's describing these women, he's talking about how beautiful they are, how they got a nice body. He said he had the strongest connection with Trinika because he likes her vibes. Trinika's more laid back. She's spiritual. So he said of all the women, that definitely was his stronger connection. But you know what? He likes the sauciness of Looney too. He said, Looney got a nice body too, and she's beautiful. So, all this stuff is just, like I said, he's like a kid in a candy store, and he can't choose because it all tastes good to him. He said, I know all these other men around here didn't like women because the women were dating other men. He's talking about the Randos and the Mikes. Randall and Mike had this saying where if the woman had another interest, then they really weren't going to be too interested in her. And that's kind of what we see played out with Jamala and also Brandy, because Randall definitely chose Jamala because she didn't have any competition, and he didn't have to work hard for her, and he didn't have to compete with another man. And then we know that Mike was part of what he always talked about was he was still, reeling over the fact that earlier in the season that Kayla had kissed Zoe, even though Kayla wasn't interested in Zoe, but also Kayla was, somewhat going back with Randall on the other end. And so what Mike liked the fact that we had Brandy over here that was interested in pretty much no one else but him. He knew that Samson thing was just, basically so she could have some other people to vote for her. And so he felt more comfortable with that. But here we got LG on the other end. He said it didn't bother him. It didn't bother him that women dated other men because he was confident enough. And he said he prefers you to date other men because then when you choose him, he will know that it's a real deal and it's legitimate. Got it. That's his thinking. And that's the way that LJ also treats women. So what he says is, I do want to date a lot of women. I want to go out with a lot of women because then by dating the other women, when I come across a woman that I really like, then I know it'll be special because I would have tried on all these other shoes, which is good. Good strategy for LJ. Very good strategy for LJ. But it may not be a good strategy for a woman that's in the company of LJ, because then you still have the dilemma that says, how do I know I'm special in LJ's life if he is doing all the same things with all the same women? And herein is what happened to him on the show, which is why he almost got voted off very early, because what the women said was LJ was doing the same things with all the other women and no one could feel like they were special. And that's what Shakira especially said to LJ. Now, when the show was airing, I thought, hey, you know what? I don't think you should really say that about LJ because it was a game and that was what you were supposed to do, or a game, experiment, whatever you want to call it. That is what you were supposed to do, date a bunch of different women. But now we found out that LJ doesn't just play this game in the real life or on this show. He does it in the real life. So the way all these women felt on this show are not special is probably the way women feel even in real life if they're dating LJ. You don't feel special at all. Yeah, if I came across an LJ in the dating world, I probably would leave him alone because at this point in time, it seems as if he hasn't narrowed down what he wants enough. It's nothing wrong with a man still looking, and I would assume that when you meet a man, you can't really assume that you're the only one that he's dating in the beginning. But the thing that concerns me about LJ is, one, he seems to be proud of this, and he also doesn't feel like anything's wrong with it. That's the part that really bothered me the most about the ex-girlfriend coming on the show, is that he didn't think that anything was wrong with it. So if he doesn't think anything is wrong with it, it's a good chance he'll do it to you too. And I wouldn't want to be that woman. I wouldn't want to be that woman thinking that I had something special because he's doing all these things for me, only to find out I'm not special at all. And that's what will make me steer clear of LJ completely. He's danger, 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 a stranger danger. Nice guy, a sweet guy. But if you're looking for more than friendship and someone to hang around, and you're looking for a solid, committed, a monogamous relationship, I'm not quite sure that LJ would be your guy. Not at all. I think you better keep on looking and keep looking somewhere else. Oftentimes, LJ kept talking about he hasn't had any relationship that ended badly. I can see that because I think LJ is a nice person. He doesn't like to make enemies. I think he is a calm, a vibe, a personality, and all that other kind of stuff. So if you were ever to be with LJ, you would also have to accept the fact that he's friends with all his ex-girlfriends. No, I'm not accepting that. You don't have to have relationships end poorly or badly, but you also don't have to have this constant communication and leaving doors open for other people and making it seem as if you're available to re-enter relationships on some other kind of form or fashion. Listen, I'm not an insecure person, so I don't like people to always say just because you have boundaries or you have standards, that means you're insecure. And I know a lot of people would say, well, if you can't trust me to be friends with another person, I'm insecure. No, there's limits, there's boundaries. And I see what LJ does is he crosses boundaries a lot. I bet LJ has a lot of friends with benefits. And that's why I would say to him, if you were in a relationship with him and say, you know what, you talk about you not gonna wait 90 days. Well, keep having sex with all these friends with benefits. But until I'm the number one in your life and there are no other women, I wouldn't sleep with LJ. Let him keep going over here and getting it from somebody else. You ain't got to give it to him. You don't have, what does he need to do? Be sleeping with multiple women at one time? Don't feed the beast, women. Don't feed the beast. You better come up with some clear boundaries for the LJs of the world. Otherwise, you're going to be like these women sit on the show and be part of a sister wives organization. Anyway, have some clear boundaries. But that's it, y'all. What you think of LJ? Has your mind changed since the first time you saw LJ on the screen? Has your mind changed since the beginning to now? And mine has changed because I actually thought that LJ was ready to love. And I'm going to say now, LJ ain't ready to love. He's ready to like, hang out with, and sleep with. That's it. All right, bye. Bye, y'all.